Sonic games have constantly been scrutinized over the past 2 decades, but one thing that everybody can agree on is the fact that the music is always great, particularly the stage music. We all know the bangers like Green Hill from the original Sonic the Hedgehog, City Escape, Hydro City, Station Square's Hub World theme, and so on and so forth. But there are many tracks that little to no people talk about within the Sonic community. Like there are legit bangers that are going unrecognized, but luckily this video gives more recognition to about 8 of them. Yeah, today we list 8 underrated stage tracks from the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Let's jump straight into it, ladies and gentlemen. Number 8, Carnival Night Zone, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now, what many people think of when you mention this stage is the infamous Barrel of Doom. Now, I never really had a problem with it because I wasn't born in the 90s when the internet was still in its infancy, so I had access to the internet, meaning I could just search it and then get past it. But obviously, many couldn't, so the music is often forgotten in this stage. I mean, you're very confused and frustrated as to why you can't get past this one part in the level. You're probably not really thinking about the music, so I want to give this track a little bit more love. It's really catchy, as the main element of the track is a portion from the common circus theme song, and the drums pretty much sound like someone beatboxing. This kind of gives the stage some sort of swag, contrasted with the circus jingles in the background. Essentially, it's a cool circus song, and let's be honest, circuses are not really considered cool, at least to 90s standards, so that really makes this track a unique one. The track is a cool hip-hop influenced circus song with a bit of swag, and it's sad that not many people talk about it with regards to Sonic 3's soundtrack. Number 7, Lost Jungle from Sonic Heroes. Another stage where the music is often overlooked, and the main thing that people talk about is that one part of the stage that they can't or couldn't get past. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I used to despise this stage when I was younger, purely because of that crocodile section. So I too overlooked how good this track is. The track itself is very varied in terms of production. There's a lot of percussion, particularly with the drums, which makes sense as the stage is in a jungle. And I don't know what jungle it's based off of, but clearly they're trying to imitate a specific culture or tribe. You can clearly hear it in the drum sounds. Now, I don't know, it just sounds like something from a specific group, and honestly I love it when music mixes elements of music from multiple cultures. The track also makes you really feel like you're in a jungle. When I was re-listening to the track without all the noises with playing the stage, I legitimately felt like I was in a jungle. It also kind of has that jungle vibe to it, if you know what I mean. There's also some elements of jazz music like the electric piano and the throughout the stage, but the flute can also just be reminiscent of the flutes that tribes use in countries like Brazil or Papua New Guinea. The bass line is also really groovy as it has a very specific progression throughout the track. Essentially, there are a hell of a lot of sounds in this track that really make it come together. It doesn't really end up becoming a mess, in my opinion. It just really makes you feel like you're in the stage itself, even when you're not playing the actual stage. The song fits perfectly with the stage, plus it's a really good song to study to, at least in my opinion, so that's a bonus. Number 6, Death Egg Zone from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. A track that literally nobody talks about, at least from what I've seen, so I'm gonna give it a bit more recognition like the rest of the tracks on this list. One word to describe this track: bass. A lot of bass in this track, and obviously this is one of those songs that really sound like they're from the Genesis era of Sega. I kind of mentioned this in my Vectorman video. Whenever you think of tracks like this, you think of the Sega Genesis. Also, I really love the main melody too. Dan 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 as it's really catchy and I'd say almost iconic. One thing music in video games should never be is forgettable, boring, or bland, and this track is the exact opposite of all those 3 things. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a track that you can dance to too. Sometimes I find myself moving a bit when I hear this track. The song also really fits the stage as you're inside a busy space base with many contraptions, and the song just emphasizes this through its beat sequence and constant electronic synth plucks. I really do recommend listening to this track outside of the game itself because it's really underrated. You should really go check it out because I know a lot of you haven't. Number 5, Spaceport Sonic Forces. Now we all know the lackluster, bland experience that was Sonic Forces, but just like most Sonic games, the soundtrack was of course. Now the soundtrack for Forces wasn't as good as previous games and in some areas was almost forgettable, but there are a lot of good tracks that really hit the mark. This is one of them. Spaceport, or otherwise known as Fighting Onward, one of the tracks that are the less talked about within the Sonic community when talking about the Sonic Forces soundtrack. It's really underrated. It's an electro slash synth pop influenced track with a basic drum sequence, and I love it. For some reason, I really have a guilty affinity for these types of tracks, and I really don't know why. The track really has a memorable melody, and I love the fact that it's done through a synthesizer. The atmosphere of the track is also really good. It feels very cold and digital at the same time. I know I've said this many times in this video, but the track really fits the stage. Spaceport is a cold chemical base with frosting covering some of the buildings. Couple that with the gloomy gray clouds in the sky. When I say this track fits with this stage, I really mean it. And as you know, there are also lyrics in this track. They're very hopeful in tone. The Sonic News Network describes the lyrics as bleak yet hopeful lyrics. It describes the game's story and the drive the Resistance has to take back their world, considering Sonic as a symbol of hope. It makes a lot of references to the story of Sonic Forces itself, and particularly Sonic getting captured and the Resistance still having hope after that. The lyrics are very straightforward, but if you really want to read more into them, I recommend reading the full Sonic News Network article on them, and check out its Genius page. They will both be linked in the description below. But overall, great synthy electronic inspired track that really goes well with the stage. Number 4. Rusty Ruins from Sonic 3D Blast, the Sega Saturn version. Now I want to start this off by saying that this soundtrack in general is underrated. Sonic 3D Blast is a commonly forgotten about game because the gameplay is frustrating and tedious. But man, that soundtrack, especially for the Saturn, that's a hidden gem right there. Now let's talk about Rusty Ruins Act 1, the only stage I got to when I was younger in this game. I could never progress through this game further than this stage, but that's not what we're talking about. This track is essentially a hip-hop inspired zenful atmospheric track with an ancient, particularly Central American vibe to it. I absolutely love the atmosphere and aesthetic of this track. It really feels like I'm in an ancient broken down ruin in Belize or Mexico. And one of those piano progressions, just, you know what, take a listen. This track's vibe is a straight 9 out of 10. Richard Jacques really knew how to amplify the aesthetic of this stage. Hopefully one day he can work on a Sonic game again. I know a lot of people haven't listened to this track, so please give it a listen. It's a vibe. Number 3. White Acropolis from Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Now the stage itself is the worst thing ever, but that music is... This track has so many electronic elements to it. I mean, just take a listen. Kind of reminds me of Yeezus by Kanye West or Homework by Daft Punk, but in a very minimal fashion. It has very dancey type drums, meaning you could probably play this on the dance floor. I remember specifically listening to this track when I went on road trips, and damn, that takes me back. But back to the track itself. Like I said before, it's very electronic, almost EDM influenced, and I absolutely love it. It's a very unique track for a snow stage, as typically one wouldn't pick a track like this for a snow stage. But the track really amplifies the aesthetic of the stage really well. You're on a snow mountain with lots of robots and steel buildings. You can't tell me this track doesn't speak to that. Overall, terrible stage, but awesome underrated track. Number 2, The Wide of the Sky from Sonic and the Secret Rings. This track is amazing, and nobody talks or probably knows about it. This track is criminally underrated. First, the track starts out with a very busy beat with a very catchy staccato melody with busy drums and a satisfying bass line. Then we transition into a more calm version of the previous segment of the track, but this time with an acoustic guitar and even more satisfying bass line. I love it. The composition is just amazing with how many elements it incorporates into the track, and the progression is just... Sadly, the track doesn't fit very well with the stage. I mean, it's a snowy canyon with a lot of skeletons. Does it really fit well? Not really. But that's the only bad thing about it. If that was not the case, this would probably be number 1. That bass line is sexy though. Overall, great track. Go give it a listen. Now, before we get to number 1, I want to mention a few honorable mentions. Watch Mojo style. Let's go. Number 1, Aquatic Capital from Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. Now, this is from a pretty underrated Sonic Riders game, so that's probably why the music in this game is in general underrated. First off, I want to say this is my favorite stage in Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. The visuals for a Wii game are very good. I like the whole digital water park idea in general. The whole vibe and aesthetic in general is one of my favorite in any Sonic game. Now contrast that with the music. It's amazing. It really fits well with the stage, with both the Babylon and Team Sonic versions. The track itself is very good. We got a really good bass line, almost industrial drums, and digital sounds all over the track. I just love it. It feels like I'm there when listening to this track. It feels like I'm right in that location. It feels like I'm right in Aquatic Capital or Tempest Waterway. And the pianos are a very nice touch to the track. I love this whole game soundtrack in general, and it's severely underrated, especially this song. It's not pushing the envelope in music or anything, but it's a track that needs more recognition, given from a channel with less than 60,000 subscribers. Please check out this track and this game in general. Many say that the original Sonic Riders is better, but aesthetically, visually, and soundtrack wise, this game is definitely the superior one. And if you enjoy that, then you should definitely check this game out. And that ends off my top 8 underrated Sonic stage tracks. Sorry if I didn't really make any sense with some of my points. I actually can't really articulate myself that well, but I try. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if there are any underrated tracks you would like to share, put them down below in the comments, as I would really love to read everybody else's opinions on this. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button so this video can get seen by more people. That's basically the point of this video. We want to give more recognition to all these tracks. And if you would like to see more content from me, be sure to subscribe. We do mostly Sonic and Sega content, look at my name, and uploads are every week on a random day. So anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.